Having some trouble lining up and playing zone coverage? Today we will attack the 4 biggest mistakes that you're making when playing zone coverage in DB tip clips. Man, wouldn't it be nice if we could just line up in man coverage all the time without getting tired or having the offense do things to us to beat it? Of course, that would be simple, but it's not reality. So every defense has to be able to run zone coverage. As true as that previous statement is, the fact remains that many teams are unable to run zones for a variety of reasons. In this video today, I'm going to go over 4 biggest mistakes that players and teams make when running zone coverage. So let's get to it. Number 1, it's not communicating. This is the biggest problem that teams have when playing zone. As I state in my book, 101 DB Tips, in zone, you cover with your mouth, as opposed to covering with your legs the way that you do when playing man coverage. Zone coverage requires you to most often be dedicated to a certain zone on the field. Once the offense snaps the ball and the routes start to unfold, it's crucial for the defenders, especially in the secondary, to communicate to one another where the routes are coming from. We only have 2 eyes, and oftentimes they're focused on a variety of things. When the secondary communicates with each other, the defenders essentially has more than just 2 eyes. They're now receiving information from each other about who's entering their zones, thus allowing them to be in proper position should the ball be thrown there. It's essential for players and coaches to emphasize communication heavily when teaching and playing zone coverage. Number 2, not aligning right. As the old saying goes, it starts with your alignment. Players can put themselves at a disadvantage in zone coverage before the ball's even snapped. This is if they're not allowed to align correctly. This is one of those details that are very important as a defensive back. Not aligning with the proper outside or inside leverage can allow a receiver to attack your zone and receive the ball before you're able to get there. Aligning too shallow or too far off can allow either the easy completion in your zone or a big play in your zone because you are not at the proper depth. Take your alignment seriously when you're playing zone. Some players think zone coverage is a time to be lazy and just relax because they're not going to be chasing a receiver. However, you can fall asleep in zone and give up a big play that hurts your team. Alignment before assignment should be your motto. Number 3, eyes in the wrong place. Again, some players think zone is a time to take a play off. One of the biggest areas where players will slack off is not reading their keys in zone coverage. You're required to read one receiver to determine where another receiver will end up. Failing to key on that receiver that you're supposed to be watching will allow the other receiver to attack your zone without you knowing it. Failing to read your keys will strip you of your ability to anticipate a route coming into your zone, which in turn makes you late to the ball when it's thrown. Make it a point to have your eyes on the proper key. That has to be a focus for you. If you're supposed to be reading a wide receiver, have your eyes there. If you're supposed to be reading the quarterback, make sure you lock your eyes in on what he's doing. Reading your keys gives you the ability to anticipate, and that ability to anticipate leads to interceptions, and that's what we're all looking for. Finally, number 4, chasing routes. If you want to get benched by your coach in a hurry, chase routes in zone coverage. Zone coverage is just that, zone coverage. You're responsible for a zone, not a man. Players who can't differentiate between the two and chase players leaving their zone wide open are often pulling splinters out of their rear end from sitting on the bench. Lock in on what coverage you are in and what your responsibility is. Also, know the responsibility of the others around you in zone coverage. Knowing this will prevent you from chasing routes that you're not supposed to be chasing. Knowing what you're supposed to do is one thing, but knowing who has the other zones will prevent you from getting tricked by routes getting run by the offense. Study your playbook, take notes, and ask questions about the different zone coverages if you don't have a full understanding of them. A full understanding means knowing your job plus everyone else's job. Staying away from these 4 big mistakes can allow you to be a master when it comes to zone coverage. Oftentimes, zone coverage gives a defender more opportunities to make interceptions. It's cool to be a lockdown man-to-man defender. However, also being able to be great at zone makes you more valuable to your team and an overall better player. For more information on how zone coverages work, be sure to check out my All Eyes DB Camp members area. I have videos in there that break down several of the zone coverages that your team may be running right now. Also, check out my book, 101 DB Tips. It has plenty of information there about running zone coverages and some of the tips that you need to run zone coverages the way that they need to be run. Also, I want to hear from you guys out there. What is your favorite zone coverage? Is it cover 2? Is it cover 3? Is it cover 4? Is it something more exotic that your team runs? Go ahead and drop a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what some of your favorite zone coverages are. Also, guys, before you leave here, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel if you have not done that already. Putting out great DB content like this on a weekly basis. You don't want to miss any of it. Make sure you hit the bell so you are notified the next time I put out a DB video. Check the description down below for links to my All Eyes DB Camp members area, as well as the 101 DB Tips book that I mentioned. It's the ultimate reference guide for defensive backs out there. Every defensive back and every defensive back coach should have a copy of 101 DB Tips. I've got a soft cover version for you, as well as an ebook if you're a guy that likes to read off of a tablet as well as a mobile phone. We could take it on the go with you. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.